Is he a leader who allows meta-ignorance to reign supreme amongst the people he or she is leading?
My people everywhere busting the layers of today, everywhere scattered as at the time Plo Lumumba said all this thing to the faces of the Nigerian politician. Everywhere scattered. Nobody expected what he said in this video. Nobody will ever expected that this man could say this thing in the presence of Nigerian politician. They could not say anything. They were just looking at him as at the time he was saying all these things because he was hitting the nails on the head, my people. You need to watch the video, see what this man said in this video concerning Nigerian politicians. This is not democracy that we are practicing in Nigeria. We are actually practicing something very far from democracy, my people. Share this video to every social media platform. If you cannot share, like it, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Welcome back to LAMBAST TV show.
The whole of crime scene.
It's happening in the street again.
The center of political news, celebrity gossip, religious gossip, and happiness in the society.
Join us, the voice of Africa.
Welcome you to LAMBAST TV show, where we bring you political, celebrity, and religious gossip. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do well to click the red subscription button and don't forget to click the bell icon so that YouTube will notify you anytime we drop another trendy video. It's no more a news than that Nigerians are actually facing their most trying times in the country presently, and with the way the country is actually going presently, it does not show as if everything is going to be calm in any time soon. And with the way that our president is actually handling the matters, nobody is actually happy with it. That's why we could see protests here and there. And from this video, you will see Lumumba actually said all those things in the presence of our politicians. He lambast and lambast them, and nobody could actually look up to him and say that what's going on. Nobody could face him, nobody could challenge him, because they know that this man was actually saying the truth. Plo Lumumba has no fear for anybody, so he says those things the way he actually feels. And if you see in this video, there's one thing I'm going to point out here in this video, and there's one of our past politicians that actually said something sometimes ago, and I've actually played this video in one of our previous videos. Dr. Matthias Ofobushe, he said something about Nigerians and Africa as a whole. He said the major problem of we Nigerians and Africans is that we have a slavery mindset, and this slavery mindset is a thing that is still lingering in the minds of Africans and Nigeria as a whole, and that is the reason why we are actually dealing with some set of things that we are not even supposed to be dealing with. If you see in this video, I will be talking about one of the great men that Africa has, but they never cherish as at the time this man was living. This man is from Congo. Now he's popularly known as Patrice Lumumba. This man actually fought for his people. He's a black man fighting for the black people. That's his race. He was actually fighting the whites because of the atrocities that these people were actually committing in their country. Patrice Lumumba actually fought for his country, but at the end of the day, he fought for those people that will later cause his own death. Patrice Lumumba has a personal assistant named Mobutu Sese Seko. This Mobutu Sese Seko later came back to become the president of that nation. You will see that this Mobutu Sese Seko was even one of those people that plotted the death of Patrice Lumumba. He actually planned his death with the Belgians, and later on, after the death of this man, these Belgians of the people were now the ones apologizing to Congo nation that they were very sorry for the way they actually treated Patrice Lumumba, even till death. After killing this man, they killed the man. They felt like people will still come back and worship his dead body as at the cemetery. They exhumed his body after throwing it into a deep grave. They exhumed his body, dismembered his body one by one. After dismembering his body, they actually poured the body, they soaked his body into an acid. The only thing that was recovered from the body of Patrice Lumumba was his gold teeth, and this is a black man conniving with the whites to kill a black man. So you will see that the blacks actually have dark minds towards themselves. That's the reason why the country, the nation, Africa as a whole is actually going backwards. You will see that these white people are actually getting their own means of survival from the minerals and resources that are in Africa. You will see that everything that is actually happening in Africa as a whole is as a result of our negligence, is as a result of our ignorance. We see these white people, we see these colonials, we see them as God. That's the reason why everything in Africa is actually backsliding. Joshua Maponga said something about the seats of the presidents in Nigeria. He said that particular seat that we call the presidential seat is actually guided by some constitution that is known to nobody. It's not even known to the presidential candidate until he becomes the president. That's why you see that when they get here, there are some things that they do that you feel like, what is going on? We are supposed to act like this. Who is Dangote to have a whole refinery in this nation and a whole Nigeria as a whole cannot repair his own refinery, but they prefer going outside to go and refine all those oil. You see that there are some forces against all these things that are actually happening. It's not ordinary, and if you should say it's not ordinary, then who is going to enact everything? That's why Omoyele Sowore is actually shouting and agitating and advocating for revolution. We need to take this power out of the hands of these people that think that they can continue to rule our country. We think that our country is actually liberated. No, we are still in modern slavery. Plo Lumumba said a lot of things in this video. What is the essence of you becoming a leader and you don't even have an idea of how to lead the people? How do you intend to lead those people when you don't even have plans set aside to rule these people? I still find it very funny that what is the essence of the vice president when the president himself is actually making a mistake and the vice president cannot even set him right? Is every decision that the president make that the vice president will follow? There are some times that you need to advise your president that this is how you should be and this is how you should be. You remove subsidy and there's no plans to cushion the effect of all these things, and every Nigerians are actually agitating for a better Nigeria, but we are not seeing anything. My people, see what Plo Lumumba said to the faces of our politicians. They were shocked, they marveled, and they couldn't see anything. All they could do, as at the time he was lambasting them, was just to clap for him, because they know that what is actually say is right on point. My people, stay to this video, stick to this video, see what he said about Nigerians, and you will marvel at everything. Now you'll be shocked. My people, we'll be right back after the video.
How free are our politicians from external influence? But is that an excuse? No, it cannot be an excuse. Leaders in a multi-ethnic environment must also be different. You know, Nigeria, as Chinua rightly said, like all African countries, is an artificial entity. Chinua says in his book, The Trouble with Nigeria, that there is nothing comparable to how the European nations were created. There is no Nigerian, Chinua Achebe says, in the same way as there is a Danish or a Swedish or a Norwegian. Nigeria is a unique state with many states. The same is true of Kenya. The same is true of Ghana. Nigeria possibly has over 500 nations within her. Tanzania 136. The Democratic Republic of Congo 306. Kenya 42. Uganda 56. In order to be a leader in such countries, those who have the honor and privilege must be men and women who are prepared to ensure that they weld the bonds amongst those people. As Samora Moises Machel said, if the post-colonial African country is to succeed, the tribe must die. And the tribe must die, because if the tribe does not die, then the new nation will never thrive. And I did not understand Samora Moises Machel to say that he should stop being a Yoruba. No, I did not understand him to say that he should stop being a thief or to stop being an Igbo or Hausa or a Fulani. No, those are cultural mosaics which, when put together, make our nations beautiful and strong. But what do we do in most of Africa? We use those cultural differences to divide the people. We use those cultural differences to reinforce centrifugal forces and therefore threaten the very nation which we want to serve. I am telling all of us who are present here, and many of you who are present in this assembly, who are honored and respected and claim to be leaders, that you have a duty to ensure that you are in front in order to serve and not to be served. But ladies and gentlemen, let us also ask ourselves about followership. You know, as a young student, and many of us who are young students, it was the culture when you are in your first year of studies that you must be a revolutionary. And a revolutionary in the style of Karl Marx. And therefore you would say, workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. All of us were revolutionaries. And we used to say then that the safety of the bourgeois demands that the proletariat be kept in the most profound ignorance. We were revolutionaries. Who is a leader? Is it the duty of a leader to ensure that he leads men and women who are enlightened? Men and women who can question what he or she is doing? I'm suggesting to us that true and sustainable leadership also requires that you have a followership that is enlightened, a followership that calls you to account, a followership that is going to make demands of you, a followership that when you say that you are going to improve the quality of their food, they do not believe that agriculture stops on that day, but they believe that agriculture must be intensified and the technology must be used. A followership which knows that when you say you are going to deliver heaven on earth, they know that that is merely an advertisement that you are incapable of delivering heaven on earth. A followership that knows that when you are promising to do things within 100 days, which ordinarily can only be done in 5 years, they know that you are a liar. A followership that is capable of discerning that when you speak things, there are many variables, and it is the duty of a leadership to ensure that such a leadership is indeed created. What do African leaders do? African leaders in many African countries have now assigned the question of education, educating their followers to NGOs and CBOs, which are financed by the Americans, which are financed by the Europeans, which are financed by other civilizations. How do you think, how do you imagine that the people of Denmark would have the interest of Nigeria at their heart? How are you satisfied that all those civic education activities that are being undertaken in Borno, or in Maiduguri, or in Abeokuta, financed by USAID, are meant to be for the benefit of Nigeria? Because the last time I checked, the English used to say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. So today, when you look at most of Africa, we have a followership that is tuned from outside. It is not a followership that is tuned from inside. And you wonder why they behave the way they do. They behave the way they do because they are being tuned by other civilizations. 3 years ago, an old friend of mine, now gone to be with the Lord, was engaged in a conversation with me. And I was complaining about the leadership, and he told me, I hear you, young man. You're always complaining about leadership in Africa and other parts, but have you ever wondered about the followership? Says you are complaining about the windmill, but do you ever bother about the wind? Is it not the case that the windmill follows the wind? I'm suggesting to you that Africa will never realize our potential as long as the critical mass of our people are immersed in sorrow and want. I am suggesting to you that Africa is not going to grow as long as you who are in positions of leadership have perfected the art of appealing to the stomachs rather than the minds of the men and women that you lead. I'm suggesting to you that Africa is not going to realize our potential as long as we continue to conduct the politics of money and money bags, not the politics of ideas. I'm suggesting to you that Africa is never going to realize our potential as long as we are dividing our people along ethnic lines. I'm suggesting to you that as long as you who are in positions of honor and privilege are in the business of dividing our people on the basis of religion, Africa is not going to realize our potential. I remember in 1982, I watched a movie about Mahatma Gandhi, and I remember that great man saying in one of the scenes in the movie that he remembers one day, when somebody who was more enlightened than the other preachers came, and he said that on that day, he saw that preacher reading from the Muslim Quran on to the Christian Bible, on to the Jewish Torah, on to the Hindu Gita, and on to incantation in African religion, as if it did not matter which book was being read as long as God was being worshipped. I look forward to the day when those of you who are in positions of leadership will be able to tell our people, wherever they are in Nigeria or Africa, that it is not for us to fight for God. If I have a God for whom I have to fight for, that is not a God. The God that I worship fights for me. And if we accept that that is the nature of God, that is omnipresent, omniscient, and He knows all, then we are going to unite our people. In other words, I'm saying that if we are going to have a followership that is going to change the continent of Africa, we have got to exorcise the ghost of ethnicity. We have got to exorcise the ghost of ignorance. We have got to exorcise the ghost of poverty. We have got to exorcise the ghost of narrow-mindedness. Fellow Africans, fellow Nigerians, it is still true that everything fails and falls on leadership. It is true that we men and women are in unique positions. Abubakar, Olusala, Saraki was present on this earth. Like all of us, he had his coming and his going. Today we are gathered here to remember him, because as South Sudan's John Garang Dimabior once said, as you walk the journey of life, there are two baskets that you fill by your words and deeds, whether wittingly or unwittingly. The basket of good deeds and the basket of bad deeds. And that at the end of it all, when we weigh those baskets, let it be said of you that the basket of good deeds outweighs the basket of bad deeds. It would appear to me that the late Dr. Saraki's basket of good deeds far outweighs his basket of bad deeds. And that is why we can say, without flinching and without equivocation, that he was a colossus. That is why you call him fondly by the moniker Oloye. That is why you are gathered here on a Monday morning to pay homage to him. Now I can see Saraki upstairs through imagination. I can see him asking us, who we are present here today, oh dear Nigerians, it is 10 years since I left you. Where are the leaders? I can see Saraki asking the president of this country, how have you served, Mr. President? I can hear him ask the vice president, how have you served? I can hear him asking the senators, how have you served? I can hear him asking the members of the House of Assembly, how have you served? I can hear him asking the governors, how have you served? As to how they have served, that is not for me to say. It is for them to say. But I can also hear the great Saraki asking the Nigerians, how have you been served? Have they given you food? I can hear him ask. Have they given you fuel? I hear him ask. Have they given you electricity? I hear him ask. As to whether they have been well served, it is not for me to say, it is for them to say. In other words, the great Saraki is asking both leaders and the led, have you demanded and have you served? And the leadership that I hear him, the great Saraki, asking of us is a leadership where we are united. Not the unity of the graveyard, whose lingua franca is silence. No. It is the unity of those who are seeking to do good. Those who are seeking to do good, those who ask with the firmness that will open the eyes of the leader without inflaming their anger. I can hear it being said.
My people, you could hear what he said in that video. Another thing that I find so funny about our Nigerian politician is that all the social amenities that we're supposed to have access to, these are the social amenities that all of us, we go to church and we praying to God that God should come and provide for us. Whereas when they go outside the country, they go there and enjoy every social amenities that they have over there. But they never have the plan, they never have it in their head to come to Nigeria to come and build us those social amenities, if not because of the slavery mindset that they have. What is the essence of you going outside the country to go and enjoy something that you can actually put in your own country, something that you can actually build in your own country? You will see what Plo Lumumba was saying in that video. Everybody outside Nigeria in Africa actually see Nigeria as a great nation, but our politicians are making everything look the other way around. They are not making all these things to be accessible to we Nigerians. Instead of it to be accessible to us, is until we go outside the country, that's the time that we have access to all these things. You could also see from the video, Plo Lumumba also said that how free is our politicians from external forces, from external influence. You could see that there are so many things that have been seen that has to do with all this colonialism that has actually happened in this country and outside the country, and also the African countries. All this colonialism is still existing. The slavery that we experienced then is actually happening now, which is now the modern slavery. I believe that our president and all these leaders that we have in Nigeria and outside and also African countries are still taking orders from all these colonials, are still taking orders from all these people that colonize us. That's the reason why everything that we have actually been trying to do, they try to cop us. They don't want us to liberate ourselves, because they know that if these African people, if these African nations to liberate themselves, they will be in deep shit. They will find themselves in deep mess. That's the reason why the uranium in Congo, that's the reason why the uranium in Congo, they try to fetch this uranium from that country. That's the reason why the death of Patrice Lumumba was inevitable. That's the reason why they feel that the only person that was standing as a stumbling block for them to get all this uranium from Congo was this Patrice Lumumba. That's the reason why they get rid of this man. And now we say it in this video that the blacks are always the problem of the blacks. Blacks are always the problem of the blacks. We don't want ourselves to liberate. That's the reason why they still cage us. That's the reason why they have the power to control us at their own way. And you could see everything that is actually happening in this country ever since in the time of Yaradua. Everything that has to do with the economy of the country has been going down day by day, and there's nobody that is there to even help the economy of the country, which means that these people are not even patriotic with the way they are actually showcasing it to people that they are. If you are patriotic, you would want your country to move forward in everything that is actually going on in the country. But with the way President Bola Ahmed TINUBU is actually ruling the country, nobody is actually enjoying it. Even both the rich and the poor are lamenting. The rich that has the money are lamenting. What are you expecting from the poor? They will also lament. That's the reason why you can see protests everywhere and there. Aside the food high price, you could see that the abduction and kidnapping of people is actually alarming. The security of the country is going down. The insecurity of the country is so alarming that nobody, if you even want to travel now, there is always this fear in you that hope you won't be kidnapped. That's the present situation that this country has found itself. My people, from this video that you watch, share your opinion in the comment section. Tell us what you feel. Tell us what you feel about everything that is being said and what is going on in this country. And don't forget to share this video to every social media platform. If you cannot share it, like it, give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will recommend it for us. And if you are coming across this channel for the very first time, do well to click this red subscription button, and don't forget to click the bell icon so that YouTube notify you anytime we drop another trendy video. See you in our next video. Bye for now.